I did get a comment from a passenger last season that they found some mold underneath these ceiling inserts that are lining the galley, and I decided to pull that out and replace it. Pulled off that fixture, and you can see it pulled off the raw material, and there's some foam from the insert that's left over that's glued on. There's an adhesive that's applied to that foam. I pulled most of that material off, and I'll be replacing it with a new liner that's here that also has a little foam backing. So this is my first headliner project, and I always relish a first-time boat project, doing things for the first time. Even though they are not likely to go smoothly and will likely to take much longer than expected, you learn a ton by doing it yourself for the first time without tutoring. It's just fun to explore and learn on your own. This particular headliner lies underneath the galley cupboards and below the eye line of most upright adults. So this is a great first-time boat project, as most will not see the imperfections. I can make mistakes and learn along the way without a lot of pressure to get things perfect. I will go through the steps, all the steps of replacing headliner, and share what I learned along the way. But don't judge me too excessively, because on this go around I did not do things as well as could have been done. Materials and tools needed include a razor knife, scissors, tracing paper, a pencil, 3M headliner adhesive, some chisels, a scrub pad, and a household multi-surface cleaning product with bleach. Step 1, pull the old liner off of the ceiling. Older liner is likely to leave foam remnants, but if you're lucky, it'll all come off in one piece, and you can use the old piece as a pattern to cut the new piece or pieces. You may have to remove wood trim pieces around the surface to fully get out all of the old foam remnants. Full disclosure, I did not remove all the old wood trim pieces, as I did not want to risk breaking one or having to refashion a new wood trim piece in the event something went wrong with pulling out the trim pieces, which can happen. You could easily break them by prying out a trim piece. Step 2, use tools or chemicals to remove the remnant old foam pieces from the surface area that happen to still be adhered to or glued to the surface area. Preparing a surface for new installation is often the most time-consuming piece of any project and might require a few iterations prior to completion. In my case, I used a wide chisel to get between the foam and the mounting surface and scraped off much of the remnant foam. I followed up with water, a scrub pad, and some cleaning solution with bleach. The bleach was meant to deal with any remaining mold or mildew spores. Using paint thinner or mineral spirits is another possibility to deal with remnant or old foam. And leveraging sandpaper might be considered for areas that are particularly stubborn. Another full disclosure, I did not get the surface area clean to a level that I felt was fully prepared. It ended up being a little cleaner than what I'm showing you here, but this area is not perfectly clean. All of the foam remnants are not completely scrubbed out of there, and that creates a bit of a risk. I was bending over into like a boat yoga position, my back was aching, and I just lost patience and stamina for this project at some point. By not fully preparing the surface, I assume a risk that the headliner will maybe droop in some areas, not stick to small areas. It might not look uniform, tight, or as professional as should be. As I'm going through the editing of this video and going through this process, I'm thinking to myself that that surface area is not fully prepped. I shouldn't release a video about this. I should go back to the drawing board, remove the newly installed trim, and clean everything, do it right, get that area pristine, do it all again, and then show this video to you, the viewer. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna share what I have done so far and here now, because boat projects, they're never pristine and they're never perfect, and they always come with choices where your own patience and stamina are tried along the way. You will surely find yourself cutting corners at times on lower priority projects where you just don't have the time, You have to pick and choose where you spend your time and what things you do fully and properly. You have to live with the downside risks that may manifest when you do cut a corner. I tend to only make these choices on cosmetic items that I can devote more time to later on down the line when time presents itself. To cut a new piece or pieces to fit the space that you intend to cover, you will need a pattern. I ordered some tracing paper that would cover the 72-inch by 9-inch wide surface area. The surface area actually tapers down from 8.5 inches wide to 4 inches wide down the 72-inch length that goes from front to back. And the angles of the taper on the two sides are not uniform, so a pattern was essential to get this done right. To do this, I simply taped tracing paper over the surface, ran a pencil along the outline of the surface, and then cut the paper to size. I then cut the actual headliner material to be slightly larger than the pattern because you can always trim down a piece further with the razor knife or scissors. Before installing the new headliner, a final prep of the surface area is recommended. There are products specifically designed to ensure that the surface area is clean ahead of a fabric glue application. But in my particular case, I stuck to a standard household cleaning solution and then a rinse of water. To install the headliner, spray the adhesive on the surface you plan to stick the headliner to. Do not be afraid to get the glue on the outside of the areas. You can spray outside of the lines. It's easy to clean off. Next, spray the adhesive fully on the foam backing of the headliner as well. You do not need to rush as the glue gets tacky without fully curing for 30 minutes or more. So again, you can get glue on the surface area, you can get glue on the foam, you can prep both, you can prep everything ahead of time before you start sticking that headliner to the surface. In my case, I did feel a bit of rush in putting the glue on a portion of the surface area and a portion of the headliner just so I could ensure that things stayed tacky. But from what I read and what I see on YouTube, that was probably unnecessary. Here's how the installation looks now after installing, and you can see the seams are not well covered or fitted, and I do run a risk of some air pockets or drooping here or there. I'll be leveraging some upholstery tacks to further reinforce this headliner. I also have a seam where two pieces meet, which doesn't look overly professional, but again, this cupboard is down at the eye line or even below it, and this is just a piece running underneath it. So I'm not overly fussed about trying to get that right and spending a lot of extra time just so I can show. Ultimately, I want to show you the right way of doing things, but there is some value in showing you what happens when you do cut corners and what you get as a result. I really want to thank my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. If you have stayed to the end, I'd really appreciate it if you'd press that like button. It really helps the channel grow. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.